Today, we're going to travel way up high into the Indian Himalayas, to a place that's super remote, incredibly ancient, and holds some of the world's most breathtaking art. We are talking about the one and only Alchi Monastery.
Just listen to this. This quote really nails it. It's not just some old building we're looking at. It's a full-on experience. A place that, literally takes your breath away. And believe me, it's not just because of the thin mountain air.
So let's get into it, because this is the real puzzle of Alchi. When you first walk up to it, it just looks like this humble, almost plain fortress made of mud and rock. It kind of blends right into the landscape. But inside those simple walls, that's where a whole universe of color and incredible detail is waiting. So what exactly is hidden in there?
Okay, so before we can really appreciate the art, we have to get a feel for the place itself. You've got to understand the setting for this incredible time capsule.
So picture this. We're in Ladakh, right on the south bank of the mighty Indus River. It's about 65 kilometers west of Leh, the main town. And it's not just sitting there by itself. It's part of a whole group of monuments. These days, it's actually cared for by the monks from the Likir Monastery, which is nearby. You really get a sense of how out of the way it is, just nestled deep in the Himalayas.
And the altitude here is absolutely crucial. We're talking 3,100 meters. That's over 10,000 feet up. This high, dry, cold environment is in what's called a rain shadow, which basically means it's acted like a giant natural preservative. That extreme climate, that's the secret sauce for why the 1,000-year-old art we're about to see is still in such amazing shape.
You know, every great ancient place has an origin story. But what's so cool about Alchi is that it's got two different stories, and they don't quite match up. It just adds another layer of mystery to the whole thing.
So who actually built this place? Well, that's where things get interesting. According to local legend, it was the famous scholar Rinchen Zangpo, also known as the Great Translator. The guy was a rock star. He supposedly built 108 monasteries that spread Buddhism. But if you look at the actual inscriptions inside the temple, they tell a different story. They give credit to a Tibetan noble named Kaldan-sherab. So who's right? Honestly, this little historical debate just makes the place even more fascinating. All right, now for the main event. We've seen the humble outside, we've debated who built it, now it's time to step through those ancient doors and open the jewel box.
Our first stop is the Dukhang, which is the assembly hall. You can think of this as the spiritual heart of the whole monastery. This is the central spot where, for centuries, monks would gather for all their ceremonies and worship.
Stepping inside the Dukhang is just wow. The walls are a total explosion of spiritual art. I mean, just imagine being surrounded by paintings of 1,000 Buddhas. You've got these incredibly complex mandalas, which are like symbolic maps of the universe, covering pretty much every surface, plus a huge painting of the Wheel of Life. It's an amazing snapshot of the time, showing this beautiful mix of Tibetan Buddhist art and even Hindu influences that were coming from Kashmir back then.
Okay, next up, we're heading to what might just be the most incredible building here, the Sumtseg. The name itself just means three-storied temple, but what's hiding inside is, well, it's just astonishing. Get ready for this number, 4 meters. That's about 13 feet tall. Inside this tiny 3-story mud brick temple, there are 3 absolutely massive statues of Bodhisattvas. These are enlightened beings, and they just tower over you, filling up the whole space with this powerful, quiet energy. It's unreal. So who are these giants looking down on us? Well, they each represent a huge idea in Buddhism. There's Maitreya, the Buddha of the future, who stands for hope. Then you have Avalokiteshvara, probably the most famous one, who represents compassion. And finally, there's Manjushri, who represents wisdom. Altogether, they make this profound spiritual statement right in the heart of the temple.
But here's the thing. As incredible as these giant statues are, the real secret of Alchi, the tiny little detail that makes art historians just lose their minds, is even smaller. It's literally art that's hiding in plain sight.
It's so easy to be completely blown away by the size of the statues that you totally miss the most important part. Because the most detailed, the most incredible stories here, they're not on the walls. No, they're painted right onto the deities, the clothes that the statues are wearing.
Okay, let's break this down because this is wild. The canvas is the lower garment on that giant Maitreya statue. The artwork is a series of tiny medallions, each one only about 15 centimeters across. But inside these little circles, artists painted 48 different scenes telling the entire life story of the Buddha. And get this, they're in reverse order.
The amount of detail crammed into such a tiny space is just a mind-blowing testament to the skill of the artists who did this 1,000 years ago.
So what does all this mean? What's the big takeaway from this remote Himalayan monastery? Let's talk about its legacy.
This place is so important that it actually created its own artistic movement, the Alchi style. And what is that? It's this incredible, one-of-a-kind fusion. You've got the deep spirituality of Tibetan Buddhism mixed with the super detailed, almost lavish artistic skill of craftsmen from Kashmir. There's truly nothing else like it in the world.
And that's really the bottom line. Alchi matters because it's a nearly perfectly preserved time capsule. Thanks to its remote location and that super dry climate, it's one of the oldest and most complete examples of this unique artistic heritage left anywhere on the planet. And that kind of leaves you with a final thought, doesn't it? Alchi proves that the greatest treasures aren't always in some grand palace or famous museum. Sometimes they're tucked away, hidden behind simple walls of mud and stone. It really makes you wonder, how many other priceless stories are out there, just waiting for us to find them?